to take care of a little housekeeping information. Today's webinar will be available for replay later this afternoon, assuming there are no technical difficulties. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have, so be sure to ask them in the chat applet located on your screen. If we don't get to your questions, please email. We will be able to get to your answers by email. If you can hear me but can't see the PowerPoint slides, please attempt to reconnect. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready to get started. So today's hashtag is hashtag SMWithVM. If you're like me and you tweet pretty often, so feel free to tweet about today's webinar. You can follow me at ClickKayla on Twitter. Christy is at Kikolani, and then we have a branded account for Vertical Measures as well. So let's get started, and like Christy said, feel free to ask some questions throughout the presentation. All right, so I wanted to start off just with some staggering statistics. Social networks and blogs account for for 1 in every 4.5 minutes spent online, as reported by Nielsen. And there are over 500 social networking sites on the web. Each of them, well, just about 200 of them at least, have 15,000 active users. So that's quite a bit, and that's reported by Wikipedia. Compared to 2009, 66% more time was spent on social and blog sites, 6 hours versus roughly 3.5 hours. And if you're familiar with Forrester's social technographic ladder, you might be surprised to learn that they recently came out with new data that said that joiners grew by 8% in the last year. And they define joiners as users who maintain profiles on social networking sites and those who visit sites as well. So I thought I'd also mention sort of that the updated data from Forrester also kind of alluded to some other information which said that social activity has somewhat plateaued. So to me, it makes it even more important to illustrate that as a brand, you must connect with your active users. And what we'll discuss in the next few slides is connecting with active users online across multiple platforms. All right, so let's get started. What exactly is cross-platform branding? Well, in general, it's utilizing multiple social networks to listen, engage, and share information about your products, services, and your brand. And by doing so, you're able to connect with multiple users in the social spheres where they are most active. Generally, users aren't, generally a brand's particular demographic isn't just on one social networking site, it's throughout the web. So with cross-platform branding, you're able to kind of hit them in each different area. One question that we often get asked is, does a brand actually need it? So I guess kind of a default answer is it kind of depends. So who is your client or your own brand's demographic? Do you actually have content to share or information to share to your followers? Do they want to hear what you have to say? Also, do you have the tools that you need to undertake this new form of marketing without it consuming hours and hours every day? So addressing each of these issues before you decide to really manage multiple social profiles can help you determine if your brand needs it. In addition, looking at the pros and cons. So there will be a time investment for sure, so that can be a con for some people. Is this something you have at your disposal? Is time at your disposal? But the pro of that situation is there will be a ripple effect seen in the distance your messaging can go. So evaluating these areas will help you determine whether or not your brand needs cross-platform branding. In addition, with the time investment, trying to find that balance. What is the farthest distance that your message can go with the least amount of time spent? So we will go over some examples in the next couple of slides and give you a feel for what other brands are doing and how you can utilize it for your own brand. Okay, so the first example I wanted to show was with Toyota. You might have seen this. It's their Swagger Wagon campaign. So if you don't know, the Swagger Wagon is their Sienna minivan, and they're trying to revolutionize the way that the public views a traditionally boring yet practical vehicle. And Toyota is really active on multiple platforms. So here we can see that they're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Over 26,000 fans on their Facebook page that's just dedicated to the Swagger Wagon. They have over 4.5 million views on YouTube. And again, it's just the channel for the Swagger Wagon. And then their branded account for all of their Toyota messaging. They have a little over 28,000 followers on Twitter. So you've likely seen their commercials that are promoting their YouTube channel as well. Any of their Swagger Wagon commercials on TV are promoting each of these profiles. But they specifically ask users to go to youtube.com/swaggerwagon or Toyota. So it's pretty cool that they are utilizing that to kind of cross-platform brands. You can see here sort of like the consistency between their messaging. On Facebook, they're promoting their YouTube video, which targets the Swagger Wagon Supreme. On Twitter, they're tweeting about it. And you can see that this particular tweet received roughly 74 clicks in a very short amount of time. And on YouTube, they're drawing notoriety about their Swagger Wagon by making these very, very interesting videos. So this is something that brands are able to utilize just across these three platforms on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, really trying to keep the messaging consistent. The next example that I wanted to go over was JCPenney's. Earlier this year, they announced that they were planning a more social and mobile type of marketing campaign. They're really trying to target female shoppers between the ages of 25 and 34. And their brand is really utilizing Facebook and Twitter. Over 1.1 million fans on Facebook and about 8,000 followers on Twitter. So they're a little late to the game with Twitter, but on Facebook for sure, they have definitely taken the market and are finding success as well. So let's look at some of their recent messaging. So the top left one, you can see they're talking about their Facebook pages. They are utilizing the deals function for users who check in using Facebook Places. So if you have a brick and mortar type of business and you want to give your Facebook follower or Facebook fans a deal, so $10 off coupon when you check into any of your stores, then you're able to utilize Facebook Places for that. So they're also sharing that information with their Twitter followers. In addition, they're engaging with their fans as shown in the next message, sent out asking questions of followers. So this particular question was, what are your favorite outdoor activities for fall? And that data received from anyone who is managing this page can utilize the information of users who are answering this question, maybe towards figuring out what products to put forward most on the website or which ones to really focus on the Facebook page, sending out messages about new fall fashions for a particular holiday, or just depending on what types of comments they receive on these types of posts can really help them with their messaging. And then also what we can gain from this is seeing that they're using JCPenney Publisher, which is actually Virtue Publisher. And Virtue Publisher is a paid option for brands to utilize to help them cross-platform messaging across Twitter and Facebook. So you can go to their website, and that information is on the bottom left. So it kind of helps you schedule and measure and moderate and manage conversations with your fans. And we'll discuss more of these paid options in future slides. All right, so on to our next example that I wanted to go over is Kodak. So with over 70,000 fans on Facebook and 24,000 followers on Twitter, they have quite a successful branded accounts on those two platforms, as well as 2 million views on YouTube videos and over 100 contacts on Flickr. So Kodak is really utilizing cross-platform branding efforts effectively, more so than the other two brands, because Kodak is kind of, they've likely seen that their demographics are on many, many different sites. And of course Flickr, which is primarily an image type of, is an image sharing site. They really want to have a good grasp on how to utilize that site for their branding as well. So looking for niche sites in your individual industry is important, just depending on what type of industry you're in. If you're in the healthcare industry, trying to find that niche site that's like a Flickr to Kodak, it will be really important. All right, so let's look a little bit at their types of messaging. So one promotion highlighted in the next slide is their So Kodak campaign, and photos are regularly uploaded to the Facebook page and to the Flickr page, and videos are added to the YouTube page, and tweets are sent out about this particular campaign as well. So you'll notice that they're using Seesmic to manage their tweets, and Bitly short URLs, which show that this particular tweet received 60 clicks. So in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, you can see that what I've done is I've just added a plus sign to that Kodak.ly URL. And by adding the plus sign, you're taking to another website that shows you how many particular clicks that individual URL received. And so you can see here that it's 60 total clicks. But in addition, what I didn't show that's on the page is that it'll show you demographic information. It will show you which other sites it's been shared on. It is limited to show you mostly like if it's been shared on Twitter or if it's been shared on FriendFeed. That information is definitely useful, especially for Kodak, for them to really see how effective each of these messaging strategies is and how what particularly makes it unique from others that weren't as successful, and to continue to utilize that type of technique in the future. So I think Kodak is really doing a good idea. And as mentioned before, they're using Seesmic, which is a desktop application, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth. But it's just one of the tools that brands are really utilizing, whether it's paid, like the Virtue Publisher that JCPenney's is using, or Seesmic, which is a free option, just to better manage their efforts and really try to garner a better grasp on how best to reduce that time spend, figure out that balance between sharing the messaging and not having to spend tons and tons of time actually doing it. All right, so the last example that I wanted to look at is Bravo. I'm a big Bravo fan, and I've seen that they're both on Facebook and Twitter, and then on Foursquare as well. So they have 20,000 fans on Facebook. They have 68,000 plus followers on Twitter, and then about 83,000 friends on Foursquare, which is pretty cool. So again, they found their niche. Their niche type of social media site was Foursquare. Now, what they offer for their fans is that each of the celebrities that kind of has a show on Bravo or is one of the characters on Bravo, they are able to share their favorite places on Foursquare. Users are able to earn badges as they check into different areas. So they've really found that Foursquare is that place where a lot of their followers are concentrated. And then on Facebook and on Twitter, of course, they want to make sure that they're available on there as well. On Twitter, they have a branded account, and then each of their, the celebrities from the shows each have accounts as well. So they really encourage each of the actors or the celebrities. I guess they're not necessarily actors. It's real TV, I guess, but they each have their own branded campaign, so they really try to encourage that. So let's look at some of the messaging. Recently, the Atlanta Housewives was moved to Sunday, so you can see here that they put out a Facebook post about it, and they made sure to tweet about it as well. And shortly after this tweet went live, it received about 17 clicks. So the reason I'm kind of showing these click-through rates to you is just to further showcase that these links are actually being clicked on. It's not just something that maybe a tweet goes out and no one's listening, no one's seeing, no one's making an action, no one's clicking on the link. They actually are. And really utilizing this information and figuring out how it affects your messaging strategy. How is it helping engage your users is really important to look at. So. All right, so we've kind of looked at some examples of big brands that are really utilizing cross-platform branding. And we can learn a lot from each of the different brands. Something that I would suggest to you is to look at your favorite brands and see how they're utilizing each of the different platforms. Even just doing a quick Google search and saying, JCPenney on Twitter, JCPenney on Facebook, maybe JCPenney on MySpace. Any of the brands that you're really interested in, just do a couple quick Google searches, find their pages on multiple social media sites, and then just check out how they're messaging. What tools are they using? As I showed before, you can kind of see in a tweet what they're using to message out in a Facebook post, you can see what they're using to message out in most cases as well. So try to look at those things as you're just cruising around on the web, as you're just being active in social on your own personal time, and see how it can affect your own brand or your client's brands as well. Okay, so these are some of the popular tools that you can utilize. So 3 of the most popular social media platforms are listed here, Hootsuite, TweetDeck, and Seesmic. Each are used by different brands, including celebrities and businesses. So you can see here with Hootsuite, Facebook uses Hootsuite, TED uses Hootsuite, Papa John's, Fox, the LA Times, and TweetDeck, CBS is using it, Ashton Kutcher uses it, and suggests others use it as well. Sendable is trusted by many different users, and then Seesmic also is used by quite a few different Twitter celebrities. So I listed Sendable on this slide because they offer platform branding solutions that some of the other popular ones don't. I'm kind of messing around with Sendable a little bit in the last couple weeks and have really found it to be pretty effective. But I've been a Hootsuite girl for a couple of years now, and definitely haven't been able to let go yet. So, but I would suggest looking at each of these options, maybe asking a couple of friends, seeing who is using them in the industry. Again, just like we saw with Virtue Publisher with JCPenney's, you can see what particular platform someone is utilizing. So looking at a specific tweet, and if you see regularly that a lot of the people you follow or a lot of people you trust are using a specific platform, then try it out. You know, a lot of these are all free, and so it doesn't hurt just to try it out and try to learn and see what they have to offer. Okay, so if you read our blog, I put together a post on Monday that listed out kind of the pros and cons of 7, well, maybe not the pros and cons, but kind of illustrated some of the 7 big social media sites that you can use to, or not social media sites, the social media platforms that you can use to cross-brand across multiple platforms. So here you can see that Hootsuite offers quite a few, and depending on what social sites you are interested in, once you figure out where your demographic is, what sites you really want to utilize, you get the profiles together, everything like that. Then the next step, of course, is using these tools to message out. Hootsuite offers quite a few. Seesmic has quite a few. TweetDeck as well offers a lot of options. And then there's other ones. So I listed PingFM, Posterous, Shareaholic, and Sendable. There's a difference between these. So Hootsuite, Seesmic, and TweetDeck are all pretty interactive platforms. You log into each of these systems, you set up your profiles, and essentially you can interact on Facebook. You can like posts, you can share posts, you can comment on things, you can set up lists in Twitter, you can set up groups, specific groups that you want to message to, and you can see all of your fans and followers' messages. Whereas on PingFM or Posterous or Shareaholic or Sendable, you can't. Those sites are primarily just for messaging out. You log into their sites, you already know what types of messaging you want to send out to your fans and followers across multiple networks. You put it in, you can schedule it, you can check the effectiveness of it. A lot of them have analytics programs, as does the Hootsuite and Seesmic and TweetDeck. So my recommendation is to find either Hootsuite, Seesmic, or TweetDeck that you really like to use, and then try to partner that with one of these other systems. If you are on Twitter, Facebook, and Flickr, well then you'll want to use Hootsuite and you'll want to use Posterous. If you're on Twitter, Google Buzz, and YouTube, then maybe TweetDeck is more your style. Maybe you are on MySpace and LinkedIn, and you're also, on YouTube. So then maybe using Hootsuite and Posterous will be a good idea for you. So just kind of using this chart to figure out which social sites on the left you are really active in, and then which of the sites across the top that offer the solutions to help you message throughout those sites. So I think this little chart kind of is helpful. All right, so another option to look at are some of the paid tools. Involver, Radian6, Sprout Social, and Social Blaze. These are each good options. They range in price from as little as $9 a month to $24 a month. $9 a month is for Sprout Social, and then $24 a month is with Involver. And some of them range to as much as $500 or more, excuse me, with some of the others that are listed here. When managing thousands of fans and followers, in addition to staying on top of other social networking sites, it's likely that these free tools just won't cut it for you. So for you and your team, reach out to any one of these sites and get their free trials or a detailed quote. Involver is one of the best companies out there, I think, for planning multiple sweepstakes and contests and promotions on Facebook, because they offer a really good integration with Facebook's rules and regulations. They're very, very smart and very knowledgeable about those things. They customize applications for you and handle everything themselves. You're able to look at analytics, and they're able to scale it to really to any business. So I really recommend them. Radian6 offers a whole suite of products that will help you analyze and empower your team. Each of these programs will really allow you to listen more carefully to your audience, help your team save time, give you detailed reports, which are essential if you're trying to prove ROI. You can also do it with these free programs, and I'll kind of allude to that a little bit later. But these ones really leave you time to focus on branding your business. And so sometimes when you get into actually messaging across multiple platforms, you find that sometimes you're just not given as much information with the free programs as you potentially could with any of these others. So again, trying out the different programs, getting a custom quote, figuring it out, and seeing if it's really going to be valuable for you and your team. All right, the final list of tools to live by that I just can't live without. Bitly, I kind of talked about it before, but Bitly is a URL shortener, and it's a great tool to help you learn about who's clicking on your links. By adding a plus sign, like I said before, to a shortened URL with Bitly, you can see total clicks, shared on sites, and demographics of the users clicking on the shortened URL. They also offer a pro version that can help you customize your short links for branding, and then gives you a pro desktop helpful for recording and reporting data. The Bitly Pro account is really easy to set up, and I think that by customizing your URL for your users, if you find that a lot of your content on your website is shared, what the Bitly Pro account will do is customize any shared URL from your website. But it's, through Bitly. So if a user comes to your website and they want to share it to their Twitter followers, and they know how to use Bitly, and they insert your URL into the URL shortener, it'll automatically come up instead of bit.ly. It will come up as your shortened URL name. So I think for branding, this really helps. The New York Times is someone who utilizes this. We saw previously that Bravo is utilizing it as well. So, another one is Kligs, and they offer similar information to Bitly, including analytics and monitoring and geo-targeting. And then lastly is Involver. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, Involver is the go-to company for Facebook promotions. Well, this is largely because of their awesome developers, and also they have a lot of free applications for Facebook pages. So you don't have a lot of spend for your social media budget, and you want to somehow utilize some interactivity on your Facebook page, but you don't know web design very well, you don't want to have a custom application set up, what you can do is you can go to Involver.com and look for their free applications. They allow you to have 2 free applications for a business page. You add it as a tab to your Facebook page. And they have a lot of them. They have some that offer for Twitter, and then they have one that's for YouTube, and they have a couple that allow you to import content from different PDFs and different websites. So it just kind of gives more customization options for your Facebook page without having to actually pay for it and pay that developer, $1,000 or $2,000 to develop something for you. So I definitely recommend Involver. And these are Bitly and Involver are really the two sites that I utilize a lot for customization options. And something I didn't mention with Bitly before was that they allow you to customize URLs as well. Now you can have your business name as your shortened URL if you pay for it, but on Bitly you can customize the text that's located after the bit.ly, customize it with specifics on what type of promotion you're doing or messaging, something that would allude to what the link is going to link to on your website. So for instance, if you found us on Twitter, you'll see that we have a shortened URL for this webinar. In the webinar, we put like the date, I think is what it was, or sometimes we'll do VM webinar November, VM social webinar, something like that. So by customizing those URLs, you're kind of alluding to what the user is going to find once they click on that URL, and it gives you a little bit more branding options. Okay, so far we've really discussed what cross-platform branding is, who is doing it right, what sort of tools to use, and now let's talk a bit more about tracking and analytics. If you're not able to purchase one of the paid tools we discussed earlier, which can track and analyze data, you can still do that with the help of Google Analytics. So I'll admit that I've been familiar with Google Analytics in the past, but I really found it completely essential to know more about the intricacies of tracking data, all because of my work with social media campaigns for clients. And setting up event tracking is really, really important in addition to analyzing traffic sources and then even adding social media metrics plugins. Event tracking is something that I think is really essential just to determine where traffic is coming from, why they're coming to your site, and really get an idea for which particular messaging strategies that you utilized were successful in getting traffic back to your site, because in the end that's really what the goal is. I mean, you want to utilize social media for branding, but you also want to get users back to your site so that they can eventually turn into conversions and, of course, make money for your company. Okay, so here I'm kind of giving you some information about the analytics information that you can use. On the left is the social metrics plugin, which shows bookmark activities for a specific page on your site, and this is seen through Google Analytics. It can help you really see the interaction level throughout the history of your site, and I think at the bottom on the bottom left, you'll see the total number of in-links for this particular page, the total number of bookmarks. So it kind of gives you an idea for how successful a particular page was. Say you developed, say you had a really successful blog post, or you developed a link-worthy piece of content for your website. By adding this to your Google Analytics, you can quickly and easily just see this within one page. How many page views and unique views and bounce rate, but in addition, how many times it was actually shared, how many links were built back to it, and so forth. Okay, the next one is Facebook Insights. If you've played around with Facebook Insights, any business page has this available to them. This is just the one that I'm showing here, the screenshot. It's just the basics, but if you see detail, if you click on the see details, you're given even more information. For instance, on users, you can see specific age groups, male-female ratio, things like that of your total active users and non-active users, and then an interaction level. So what I use this information for is, one, to see kind of who the demographic is on a particular Facebook page, and in addition, you can see the interactions, and on this particular one, you can see on Sunday, October 24th, we had a high rate of likes and a decent amount of comments. So I want to go back to Sunday, October 24th and see what type of messaging did I send out, why do I think that it was successful, and even on Tuesday, November 2nd, try to see that as well. And if it's successful, then continue to do that and really try to find and analyze that information based on the particular messaging that you're sending out. And then the other one I just wanted to go over again is Bitly. So utilizing it to help see click-through rates and demographic data. If you're sending out something, if it's a major promotion, and you know that you're going to share the URL over a course of multiple days, we'll utilize that information and see, okay, this was most successful at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday versus Monday at 10 a.m. or versus Wednesday at noon. You know, really trying to look at that information and see when your followers and fans are most active, utilizing that information to help develop a messaging campaign in the future, and just continue to kind of whittle down that messaging strategy that you're utilizing across multiple platforms. Bitly is able to be used not just on Twitter, but on Facebook. It's able to be embedded in images. You can use it on MySpace. You can use it on all the other sites as well. So if you customize a URL for a specific campaign and for a specific social networking site, you are still able to utilize these URL shorteners to help you figure out click-through rates. And you can see here with JCPenney's, you know, they've received 31,388 clicks. Now this is just from their social activities. 420 of those were from Facebook. And over the course of the past, you know, couple weeks that they were doing this particular JCPenney Cares program, they received those 31,000 clicks. So that's quite a few. And they're able to utilize that information and just continue to cater to their fans and figure out what messaging works. Okay, so finally I wanted to go over some things to remember. And remember that consistency is key. We kind of saw that on JCPenney's and on Kodak. Many of the examples that I have shown, you can see that there's consistency throughout multiple platforms. Not only across multiple platforms, but over time as well. It's really important to stay consistent with the type of information that you're sending out to fans and followers. A tip to keep things consistent is to develop a type of editorial calendar for cross-platform activities and what types of messaging will you be sending and across which platforms. Kind of just lay it out in a monthly messaging calendar. And it's never set in stone. Things are going to change, but at least you can keep yourself organized and then ensure the consistency of the information you're sending out. I kind of showed one editorial calendar. It's sort of just a mock-up for the month of November for sort of the VM marketing and promotion that we do. So you can see here that usually on Mondays and Thursdays we have blogs, so we want to make sure that we promote those particular blog posts. Every Wednesday we have an interview series. For the month of November, the theme was social media because of this webinar having a social media theme, and in addition, we had some really great interviews that Elise set up for social media. And then we have some SEO tools that we like to promote out, other marketing tools that we use. Even here we're kind of listing different keywords that we want to focus in on for guest posts or for webinar promotion, things like that. So you can really utilize these types of calendars to keep you organized. And if you are not the only one who's managing your social campaign, but you're utilizing other third parties, and you have a lot of content to share, or you have a lot of information to send out to followers, you're sending 2-3 messages a day on each of the platforms, well, this type of calendar can keep you really, really, really organized. And lastly, the things to remember, get to know Google Analytics inside and out. Use URL tagging in your third-party promotions, such as newsletters. If you don't know about URL tagging, I suggest just Googling it. Google Analytics, or Google in general, has a really good web forum and answers a lot of questions. And so you can get a lot of answers and step-by-step information on how to utilize those for specific to gain specific information from third-party newsletters or anything like that. Another one is utilizing Facebook Insights, using Bitly and other third-party tools. Always constantly analyze and monitor everything that you message out. Use the information to gain information about your target message or about your target audience and target your message more effectively. And then eventually you're going to find that you really are going to get maximum results, and you're going to keep a finger on the pulse of what your demographic is really finding interesting, or something that is going to eventually help you get more traffic back to your website and help convert into sales. And finally, don't be afraid. Take some risks. Also important is to admit mistakes and move on, switching up your messaging as needed. If you find that one particular type of messaging flounders, we'll switch it up and move on, and don't be afraid to really make any mistakes. So, all right, I think that pretty much concludes it. I know that there were a couple questions, but wanted to ask Christy if there are any other particular questions, and anything that anyone else wants to know more about cross-platform branding.
Okay, we did get two during the webinar. The first one is, which paid programs do you think are the best to use?
Okay, I think it really just sort of depends on what you're looking for. If you are really active on Facebook and you want to do promotions and sweepstakes and things like that, I think Involver is really the way to go. If you're across multiple platforms and you're looking for brand mentions, and you're worried about your online reputation management, I think Radian 6 is a good one to go. So really utilizing that free trial that many of them offer, a customized quote as well, and talking to one of the representatives will give you kind of a good idea on which of those specific programs are going to be best for your brand.
Okay, and the second one is, how can B2B businesses use the cross-platform branding strategy?
Okay. This really goes into who your demographic is. So if you know that you are marketing to other businesses, you want to try to figure out how those businesses are utilizing social media, where their employees that make those decisions for products like yours are going to be likely, it's a similar case to Vertical Measures, because we deal with we are B2Bs, and we utilize a LinkedIn group, and we try to ensure that yes, we're somewhat of an expertise in our field. We are interested in answering questions and giving information. And eventually, I think that a lot of those people who we interact with on LinkedIn are going to find that, yes, we are the expert, and if they need services, they know, Vertical Measures is the first name that pops into their head, and they know to come to our website and find us. So LinkedIn is definitely a good site for B2B. There's a lot of other niche sites out there that are really successful, and just trying to find those, and again, targeting your messaging to the correct demographic, analyzing that information that comes back, utilizing the tools that we have so that you're not spending hours and hours and hours, trying to figure out how you're going to message to all these different sites and keep up with it and still be productive. We've examined a lot of those tools in this webinar, so I think utilizing all those things in combination will help you with the B2B. I think that was it.
Okay, there's one. Oh, actually, I've got one good one from the audience. They're saying that some of the programs are kind of costly. What would you recommend for someone who has a small business and maybe a really small budget? I would think Social Mention and Google Alerts would be a good way to go if you don't want to do any of the paid services.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, socialmention.com, as Christy mentioned, is a good site. It basically you put in your business name or your major keywords that are associated with your particular business in general, and it's going to pull up mentions of your brand in the social sphere. So from blogs even to news and things like that. So utilizing those types of tools to keep up on what people are saying, in addition to utilizing some of these other free programs like the Hootsuite, even the ping.fm is a good site to be able to send out your messaging. And then Google Analytics, because it's free, utilizing that to really analyze your data. And then Facebook Insights, all of those things are free. So I think that would give you a good idea on on how best to utilize some of those tools, and it will really reduce the amount of time that it takes. But yeah, a lot of those paid tools can be pretty expensive. But one of them that I had mentioned, I've kind of messed around with it a little bit, but is the Sprout Social, and it's $9 a month. So maybe getting one of their free trials and checking out Sprout Social to see what it can offer to you, because I know they do offer some analytics, and their big thing is, their big thing is sort of to analyze and to look at the data and kind of give you a reportable back as well.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. For further questions, if you want to contact us via email at social media at verticalmeasures.com, or you can just tweet us at ClickKayla or at Kikolani. Thank you for a wonderful presentation, Kayla. Be sure to keep an eye out on our Twitter and our blog for our next webinar date. I'm Christy Hines of Vertical Measures. Thank you for attending our webinar, and have a great day.
Thanks, Christy.